Alright, everyone, we are live, and welcome to Video Game Battles Episode 9. Today I am actually not judging anyone, well, maybe a little bit, but judge today is Steve.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Steve. I'm judging all the people here. Well, specifically, only 3 people. But I've already made my decision who wins, so it really doesn't matter what you guys say.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Can it be me?
No, I can't tell you that.
Oh.
I'm just gonna make it like no matter what happens, that person wins. That's how we're gonna do it.
hmm And, joining us is Janet, who is a returner on the show.
Howdy, folks.
We have Zane,
Hello.
Wesley,
Hi, everybody.
and helping me fact check because I'm doing other stuff, Jesse from last week's show, or 2 weeks ago, whatever.
Hey, guys.
Alright, guys, why don't we go around, introduce ourselves, get everyone acquainted, and then we'll get to arguing. Janet, go ahead, go first. We'll just go down the line.
All right. I'm Janet. I am currently living in Mother Base, and that's about all you need to know.
Alright. Zane?
Hi, I'm Zane. I'm a web designer, and I'm currently battling a crippling threes addiction. Fighting probably all day and all night. I see the numbers.
Wesley?
Hi, I'm Wesley. I am an environment artist, mostly doing freelance, and I also teach at Shawnee State University. And I recently just shipped on Steam, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, everyone congratulate him on Mars Colony Frontier
Thank you.
being released
Thank you.
Congrats, man.
the other day. And we have, of course, Jesse joining us.
Hi again, guys. I'm Jesse. I'm a digital 2D artist out of Roanoke, Virginia.
And, well, Steve, from here, take it away.
Sure. Okay. Well, my name's Steve. I work for a little company called Monoprice. You can check it out at monoprice.com. Ding ding. As well as prior working for New Egg TV, you guys probably recognize me from that. But I think we should probably get started. Should I just jump right into the very first question?
Do as you please, sir.
Awesome. I'm just gonna crack the whip. All right. Can I go in any particular order, or do I have to go in order?
Yeah, pick whatever order you want.
All right. Let's start with a good one. Worst voice acting in a game. And I'm gonna start with Janet.
So there's this little JRPG called Chaos Wars. I don't know if this will let me link into the chat. It is the most painful voice acting I've ever heard in anything ever. It sounds like you got a bunch of high school students taking their first drama class voicing over this game. There's long pauses. There's just monotone voices. It's all bad, and like you can't get the full effect. I don't know if that linked or not, but if you like watch a couple seconds of it, it is enough for you to be like, oh god, please. Who hired these people? These people got paid to do this? I can do this.
I believe it is in chat. I also posted it into the chat on YouTube so people can see.
It's pretty bad.
Is real like I think Japanese games, like especially anime games that get dubbed, get real bad voice acting, but this is shameful. So that is my choice.
All right. And then let's see. Zane, you want to go next?
Mega Man 8. The year was 1997, and it was just early enough to have voice acting in video games. Unfortunately, it was still a couple years too early to have good voice acting in video games. Star Fox wouldn't come out until next year, and it would be a couple more years until Mega Man fans got something decent in Mega Man Legends with some voices. So this game was the first Mega Man game to have voice acting in it. So all these characters, it's kind of exciting. We don't know what Proto Man sounds like, what Mega Man sounds like, but apparently Dr. Light sounds like Elmer Fudd. Like, everyone in this game was miscast. The voice direction is horrible. It's kind of the, first take. Is that really how you want to say it? Yes. It's awful. All the characters sound weird. They don't sound anything like you'd imagine. It's just so awkward and silly. Like, if you did a gag dub of the game, you couldn't make it sillier than this. Everyone sounds just ridiculous. And these are characters that people loved. And they just sound too weird.
Okay.
Oh, and it had cutscenes, of course. They had an anime studio animate cutscenes for this game. And the dubbing is just so bad. It's like they didn't even try with lip flap. It's just awful. It's really, really bad.
Okay. What about you, Wesley?
So the game that sticks out in my mind as far as having the worst voice acting has got to be the original Resident Evil. I mean, I remember when I first played that game having issues already with the controls, and then just things like Jill Sandwich, really. It was just this awkward, I mean, sort of like what Janet was saying, that there was just this weird pacing to it, and the tone was just sort of not even in the right places, and then just really awkward script writing. I mean, like, pretty, famous lines like, oh, look, you're the master of unlocking things. Like, who says that? So, and I was reading somewhere that apparently the Japanese directors of the game, when they hired American artists, just like had them read the same lines, a couple different inflections, and then just were like, oh, that one sounds kind of cooler, so let's have them do that. And so then you just get emphasis on weird words because a non-English speaking director was the one having them do it. So,
Nice.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. All right, the original Resident Evil. All right. So I need some fact checking real quick because Janet was able to provide a video that actually showed me some of the poor audio. Can you guys pull up Mega Man 8 for me and Resident Evil? Thank you very much. I probably could pull up at least.
Zane, did you say 8 or 4?
8.
Oh, did you say?
Pull up if you can find Dr. Search for Dr. W-A-H-W-E-E. Dr. Wawi. I'll just tell you. That's how he says
There's
Wiley.
a Let's Play. If you scan around in there, you probably get to it.
Just so wrong.
Alright, so this might be a dumb question. Where do I type it in at?
You can put it in.
Oh, in the upper left-hand corner, there's a chat
Gotcha.
thing. But,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Anytime. Type it in, and I will put these also in chat for people to see.
It's bad. Resident Evil's bad. If I was gonna go completely off of what I've heard so far, definitely. What was the name of that game, by the way, Janet?
Chaos Wars?
Chaos Wars was definitely worse.
Chaos Wars is really bad.
What do we got for Mega Man 8? I'm just going off that first, and that's gonna give me a final decision based on everything else I've heard.
Oh, by the
What was
way,
that?
guys,
Zane?
little quick thing with the chat, just to let everyone know. Our number one thing that we keep seeing is show penis.
Oh, good.
I mean, I can.
You're asking for it.
Janet, I think you're the person who needs to do this.
Yeah.
Alright. But I mean, when we get banned from YouTube for this, it's your fault.
Oh, okay, hold on. Wow, that's pretty bad. Oh man, they're both really bad, guys. Oh god. Ugh. I don't know if you want to put that in chat, but yeah,
Oh, they're in chat.
the Dr. Wami is just. Oh my
It's
god.
just so stupid. Like somebody
It is.
heard that and thought, yeah, that's good. That's.
All
What is
right.
it, that voice?
Yeah, Wesley, I have to say I know for a fact that Resident Evil was better just from even though it was poorly scripted, it was definitely better than the other two. So I'm sorry, you definitely didn't make this one happen. Janet and Zane, you guys, oh man, I'm going with Janet's because that was just horrible on so many. also really like Mega Man, so it's like hard for me to overcome, even though the voice acting's bad.
I love him, and that's why it makes me so sad.
Yeah, it's disturbing. I'll give you that. But definitely points to Janet. I think she took. I think she got the best example and best argument there on top of it. So, all right. So Janet takes that one. Let me just jot that down, and I think we're gonna jump into. How about best character to bro around town with? And I think I'm going to start with Wesley on this one.
All right. So recently, I just finished playing one of the Borderlands games, and I've absolutely loved Mr. Torg. So if you've not played the game, he is just absolutely obnoxious. He is the spokesperson for a gun company that focuses on explosions. So just is always high intensity and has obnoxious things that he says. Just to pull up a quote, said something about, what was it? Right now you're ranked 50 in the badass letterboards, which puts you right behind my grandma, but ahead of the guy that she gummed to death. It took several hours. So just stupid things like that. Seems like it would always liven up a party.
Cool. All right, that sounds good. Janet, we're going to go with you next.
Johnny Gat. Johnny Gat is the bro of all bros. Johnny Gat is a man who robbed a bank wearing a mascot head of him, because who wouldn't want to be Johnny Gat? Is there anybody more loyal and wonderful to you than Johnny Gat? He is your bro for life, beyond the grave. He's who I want to bro down with, always and forever.
All right. Point taken, Janet. Point taken. All right. Go ahead, Zane.
The narrator from Bastion. I don't care what we do or where we go as long as he narrates every minute of it. Imagine, if you will, stop at traffic light. Start at traffic light. Wonder why this town got so many traffic lights. Me and the kids stop by some sleepy hole in the wall to rustle up some grub. Half an hour later, appetizer ain't ready. That's all right. Best things in life worth waiting for. Except ordered chips and salsa, and they should not be taking this long. A fine-looking gentleman steps up to the old jukebox. I give him a look that says, play something worth hearing. He gives me a nod that says, I will. And as the sound of Justin Bieber fills the air, I cry. Mother, I cry. That guy. Who wouldn't want to just hang out with that guy and listen to him talk?
Factoid, I've hung out with that guy. And I need to find the video clip of him doing his warm-ups to do that voice.
It's beautiful.
Because he's just like reading cereal boxes.
It's like I bought the game just because of his voice in the trailer. It's so good.
Oh my God. Zane, that was really good. I kind of want to give everybody an equal shot at that because that was pretty good. I want to ask each one of you what you would do to bro around town with that. Like, where would you go? That's the question I'll ask each one of you. So in the same order, Wesley, where would you go with Mr. Torg?
Where would I go with Mr. Torg? I would probably find the most mundane place because he would probably find a way to liven it up with explosions. So, grocery store. Let's go with the grocery store.
Okay. All right.
Explode some
The grocery-
Janet, go ahead. You're up next.
I live in Las Vegas. I will bring Johnny Gat here. Because we can do anything. We can go have a nice dinner. We can go do ice shots out of a pair of ice titties. I've done it before. There's photographic evidence.
There is.
We can go shoot zombies. We can drive race cars. We can drive really expensive sports cars. We can steal these really expensive sports cars, and then we can hang out with Siegfried and Roy and their tigers.
Fair enough. I think Johnny Gat would have a good time in LV.
He'd love it
Zane, you're up.
Just whatever. Go to like a restaurant or a bar or something and just talk, listen to some music. He seems like a storyteller and a guy who doesn't get around a whole lot. He's kind of older, so just chill out for a while.
Zane, out of curiosity, so storyteller is definitely a person who doesn't like hang out very much with other people. He's just like, I'm gonna tell you a story, man. I don't go out much. Is that what I'm hearing?
Like, he doesn't go out and do anything wild or go
That's
around
cool.
and party. He's just,
I thought you'd have a
Kind of
funnier
thing.
answer. No, it's cool. I was setting you up for something. That's fine. I think. Damn it. I
Alright.
think Zane still took that barely. Barely. You guys both caught up with your answers. Zane, you faltered a little bit with the last question. I think I screwed you up with that one, but I'm going to give it to Zane on that one.
Respectable. Seriously,
Just for-
I will find that clip of him reading the cereal box. It's gold.
Alright,
Oh,
fact checking on my part. Who won
Yes, please.
Who won the last one?
That was
The
Janet.
first-
Yeah.
Janet? Okay, just making sure, because yeah, it was bad. But you kind of skipped out on me a little bit when you
Oh,
said that.
dude,
so-
I'm sorry. You're
No,
so
no,
sorry.
it's
I'm sorry.
my fault. It was only on my side.
I hear the typing of a keyboard. Are you checking the facts?
Someone was, not me. I'm writing
Oh,
stuff down.
I'll have to find it later.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But otherwise, is everything okay fact checking wise? Are we good?
I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't catch
Yeah.
anything. It was all pretty
Yeah.
good.
From
Okay.
what I've found, everything seems to be legit. I
Yeah,
totally
also-
did
oh.
find the picture of Johnny Gat with his own face as a mascot.
That's like the
Oh, yeah.
opening of Saints Row 3.
I know.
Mhm.
Also, what was it? Where was I? Oh, one thing, Steve, before you make a judge, you can also go to the fact checkers before you make a final decision or whatnot if you need to.
Sure. I'll follow through with that.
Also, another common question to ask, which is fine for the last two questions, be like, why, yours and not theirs type of thing as well is a good question.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, I haven't given anybody a chance to retort anything. So the first two I've gone easy on you guys, and I'm going to change that for the rest of the questions. You guys are actually going to have to argue, like the whole point of the show is. So
Yes, it's
apologies
fine. The
for
last
that.
two questions were, yeah, they're fun and stupid.
Super fast too.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go back to another question. This one is, which game do you wish was delayed? And Zane, I don't think you've had a chance to go first yet, right? So you should-
Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. It was the PS2 game.
I like how you have all the games with you.
I came prepared. Apparently, I haven't played anything since the PlayStation 2.
Wait, which
So
game was
Enter
it?
the
Say it one more
Dragonfly
time.
was the third Spyro, or the fourth Spyro game after the three really good Insomniac ones, and they were amazing. And so they kind of passed the reins to a different company after that to develop it, and they didn't really have to do that much with it since it was switching to a new platform. All they had to do was make a good Spyro game, following that template, and just give it a fresh coat of paint, give it PS2 graphics. Unfortunately, they rushed it for the holidays. And so, like, half the game ended up on the cutting room floor. They cut out a ton of levels. They cut out basically all of the story. A lot of the characters who were supposed to be in it either got removed or they got put in weird situations because, like, their one-off in that world became their only appearance in the game. And so their costumes were all funky, and it was bizarre and confusing. And the levels that did make it into the game were just broken. Like, they had a ton of bugs, graphical, audio, gameplay. It was a mess. I was a really big Spyro fan for those first three games. And I was super excited about Enter the Dragonfly. And then it was bad. Really, really bad. And it was following up on a very bad Game Boy Advance game the year before. And so between the two of those, it kind of signaled, hey, Insomniac's done, I'm done, Spyro is dead to me. He got some other games after that, but I was just out. I'd lost all faith in the series, and that kind of just killed the series for me. And it's so sad that it didn't get delayed, just past the holiday season, be a summer release or something, because it's actually not a bad game underneath all of its problems. The people who are developing it had a very clear idea of what makes a good Spyro game. Like, some of the levels are perfect for Spyro. They have good gameplay mechanics. The sound, like the soundtrack is awesome. It's one of the best Spyro soundtracks. And the whole thing just goes to waste because they didn't have enough time to finish it. It was half the game it needed to be in scope and quality.
Okay, fair enough. Wesley, you wanna give it your shot?
Oh, that's a tough one to follow up. But
I know, right?
so one that I have felt since it came out really needed to have just either been pushed back or something was the Halo Master Chief Collection. It was a reason that I almost bought an Xbox One, and with how terrible the reception of it has been, it's been my main reason for not actually buying the Xbox One. And just even looking into it now, it seems that almost a year later, it's still relatively broken, and people are very unhappy with it. Games don't actually go into matchmaking doesn't work correctly, and just it seems like one of those games that it was such a great idea and on such a grand scope that it just couldn't support its own weight. I mean, I've always been a big fan of the Halo series and have been following it all the way through, and just it's sort of at the point where between that being completely broken and the Halo 5 being one of the only major reasons I would get an Xbox One, I feel like I'm probably not going to end up following the rest of the series.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Janet?
I'm just gonna be honest because I've just been so Metal Gear the last couple of weeks. I mean, I had to sit my boyfriend down, who has only ever played Metal Gear Solid 2, and try to explain to him that nanomachines are not magic.
Aren't they?
But they are pretty much interchangeable. As I'm playing through it, I wish Metal Gear Solid 5 got the delay that Kojima wanted. Kojima wanted another year. Now, I mean, this game has been delayed. And don't get me wrong, it is a well-polished, good game. But it feels unfinished. There is a lot of content that exists on a bonus like Blu-ray disc in Japan that's just, we wanted to finish this, we couldn't do it. That gives the game an ending. And then there's little things that I wish, had they had the time to do them, could be in there. Like in Metal Gear Solid 4, old Snake, when he walks up and down stairs, individually takes each step. And you can see him look down at these steps and take them the way you personally would take them. Where in Phantom Pain, Venom Snake runs up and down stairs the way every other video game treats stairs, which is like a ramp with some ledges. And I know that that's a really dumb thing to wish had gotten polished, but that's something I'm really into in terms of delaying a game to make sure that it's perfection. And this is Kojima's last game, possibly ever. You know, I mean, for his swan song, I feel Konami should have given him the delay, and they should have delayed it so he could make it, you know, the link between Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear that he wanted it to be, and that he could add all these little things that would be, you know, the capstone on a nearly 30-year franchise. You know, like, it's not a bad game, but I think the delays would have totally benefited and outweighed, you know, the sense of, well, we want this out now. But it's not like Konami makes games anymore. I've seen the Contra slot machine in person. It pained me a little.
All right. So I need some fact checking. I believe Old Snake was slower because he was actually drunk off his ass when he was mocapping. So we just need to double check that, make sure that's actually the case. Whereas Venom Snake, he was actually high on methamphetamines. That's why he was going really fast everywhere and everything. You don't catch that with mocap. It's not really doesn't really capture that. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go at it. Who wants to take a stab at the other two first?
Re-releases for Halo were a cash grab in the first place. I don't know what you were expecting out of it.
Yeah, like, how much lasting damage did that do to the series? Like, it's bad, but everyone knew Halo, like the main series, was pretty solid, and those were originally very great games. Like, how much of a difference does that make?
They're also not being done by Bungie anymore. I mean, it's all internal. So, of all the things like that could kill Halo, I mean, just not being by Bungie is enough, and I don't think this, while the delay would be nice, because you would think Microsoft would love their franchise enough to polish it up to standards that players expect. In the long run, would it have mattered? People were going to buy it even if it was literally a disc that said just turn on your Xbox and play Halo.
Well, I can see that, but you know, I mean, maybe the issue is just scope in general. I think that like the re-release of the original Halo was one of the few re-releases that actually felt like a really strong thing, and so maybe had they just done like Halo 2 as a re-release, you know, not taking the scope of trying to shove what was it, like 5 games onto a new console and redoing all the graphics for it and then dealing with the just general integration. It's kind of a nightmare.
Might have been a bit ambitious.
Yeah, very ambitious.
I mean, if delaying it was going to fix that, how long would it have to be delayed?
I think you said it's been
3 years,
and it's still janky.
Still
Like, how much of that is delay and how much of that is just neglect?
All right. So Janet, you sort of went after both, or actually just mainly went after Halo. Do you have anything to say about Spyro either?
Like my biggest issue with the PS2 Spyro game was I think an ad where his voice was funny, so I just didn't bother to begin with. I was like, he sounds weird. Dragons don't go through puberty.
Remember, you're asking which game should be or
Should
you wish
have
was
been.
delayed. So you wish was
Like,
delayed, right? So if you're saying it's a worse game, you're helping him.
I don't know if I would say I wish it was delayed so much as, I mean, I didn't experience it to care enough.
The thing with me for Metal Gear 5 is that it's not going to ruin anyone's Christmas if they get the new Metal Gear Solid game and like, this game is awesome. You know, it's still a good game in the end. Whereas with this, it's not. It's a really bad game that could have been a good game, and it killed the franchise for me.
I think it killed the franchise off until Skylanders. I have to give you that.
Yeah, that's totally. You know, it's not. It's hard. You know, it's Spyro by name, but it's got its own thing going on.
Has there really been a Spyro game since the original 3 that's lived up to that?
Lived up to it? No.
Up to the original 3?
There were some that I guess were okay, but they were really different. You know, they had a reboot.
Yeah, they did like a very story-based.
After that point, it was kind of another generation of something, rather than, hey, this is the continuation of, you know, this series of really good games. It's like, here's some really good games, and it bottomed out, and then they had a couple of okay ones. It just really wrecked the series at a time when it needed to be solid, you know, when they were passing the torch off to somebody else.
There's actually been a lot more Spyro games than I realized.
A
lot on,
It's 'cause your
a lot
mind-
on
Game Boy Advance
GBA, which I
games.
did
It's because
not
your
know.
mind
It's-
wanted to blank them out.
No.
There's like 6
It's
of
like
them. that-
all those Sonic games you just try and forget.
There's so many of them.
real.
Like, he went from being a flagship character to, nope, we don't talk about that anymore.
We have the Australian cat that runs around and is Australian. Like, that's what their franchise turned into.
No, it turned into Skylanders,
It's a
pretty
piece
much.
of work.
Hey, I mean, Skylanders is a big moneymaker.
Like, Skylanders is pretty impressive, but I look at the Spyro and just,
It's how I feel like seeing Sonic fall apart.
yeah, it's hard when you see the classic characters just, it's not the one I grew up with, because he doesn't exist anymore.
I was just about to sneeze there, but I couldn't. All right. I believe. Let's see. I feel like Wesley, you sort of had an opportunity to defend, but you haven't been able to go on the attack on the other two. Do you want to give it a shot to do that?
Well, I would have to say that with Spyro in particular, where like I felt the original 3 were such a strong series because of their platformer nature, and then they started taking it more into this like action adventure sort of genre. So I don't know if delaying it would necessarily fix that, because really the thing that felt the weakest for me was changing the direction of the series. It had this certain a feeling to it where the original games just had this like very magical feel to them, and they tried to make them into an adventure game, and they just sort of felt scripted and weird.
Yeah. Did you play this one or some of the later ones? Because I know some of the later ones moved more of an action-oriented gameplay.
It has been a long
more like
time.
3 than, say, 5.
It has been a long time. I remember playing it when it came out and I played it on the GameCube because they had a GameCube port of it.
Yeah, I think that one was actually slightly better than the PS2 one. It was just less buggy in general. It's actually
Well, that might have been why I didn't remember it being so bad, but I was also like 12, so...
I kept playing it, and I was sad, and I didn't know why.
Your first video game heartache
All right.
you can consciously remember.
All right, Zane. You've kind of gone back and forth the whole argument in terms of a conversation where you sort of attacked one and then defended yourself throughout the time. Do you want to say any other points about Wesley and Janet's choices?
No, I think I kind of barged in there and put mine.
Okay, cool.
Leave that one alone.
Ah, boy. Yeah, it's a lot tougher when they get to respond, Joe.
Welcome to my world.
Oh boy.
Well, I got a couple little facts for you.
Please, throw 'em in there.
Basically, the only one that got like a below 80 ranking out of these is a Spyro. GameSpot gave it a 2.8 and said it is a train wreck of a game that has no direction, no technical merit, and little appeal except as a design house of horrors showcase for some good music by Stuart Copeland. And then for Halo, it is considered possibly one of the worst major releases of all time, just because of all the server problems and everything they were having. And then Metal Gear, for Janet, it is said that Kojima did have one more chapter planned, but he never got to it.
Yeah,
Budget
it
cuts.
is on. There is the little bit that's on that disc.
Mhm.
So
There's a little bit, but not the whole thing.
yeah, people can get a little taste of what could have been.
Conclusion!
Alright, I think I made my decision, and can I explain my reasoning after I
Go for it.
Okay, so because I feel like that's important, right?
Yeah, it's very important.
So Zane, you came out the strongest right off the bat. I was totally digging your argument until I heard Janet's, and then I was like, damn, she actually explained why the delay would be helpful.
Yeah.
You just said why yours was bad. You really did a good job explaining why it was bad, and everyone else inadvertently agreed with you.
Yeah, just to cut content. Cut polish.
Right. So Wesley, you picked a good solid one too with the Master Chief Collection. I felt like that was actually I myself not having played it, but having to understood where your argument was coming from. You're basically explaining that if they had more time, they could have made it better. They, for whatever reason, they didn't, and they kind of just shoved it into a box and said go. A lot of times, developers have to do that, right?
Absolutely.
So you had a good solid argument there too, but the specifics is where Janet kind of came into play and explained that that specifically what she wanted to see more of, and it was something if they had more time, and if that was something no one disagreed that that's the direction they would go in. So I have to believe that's what, with no other objection, I have to believe that's probably where they'd go to. It's just making more fine-tuning, more polish, and everything else. So, Janet, I think you actually stole this one from Zane, and Wesley, you pulled it in real good at the end. But I think Janet's just like she was on the attack, a lot more strong with everybody else.
Janet is very passionate about Metal Gear.
Janet's
He is. So
I'm
congratulations,
He's also
Janet.
he's on the
a
attack.
machine. I'm getting into arm builds. And a rocket punch. I've been fighting bears for like 3 weeks.
Oh my God! So Janet's up 2. Zane's got 1. Wow. Okay, this is shaping up, guys. We still have 3 more questions. Is that right, fact checkers?
Yes, 3 more.
Yep. 3 more.
All right. All right. Best video game couple. Let's start off with first person to go goes.
Okay, so I had a really hard time picking this one. Take that, Wes. I had a really hard time picking this one. And it's kind of a niche pick, but I really like Beatrix and Steiner from Final Fantasy IX. If you haven't played it, Steiner is a well-meaning but bumbling knight who joins the party, and Beatrix is the legendary boss that you have to keep fighting throughout the game. And they don't like each other at first, but by the end of the game they fall in love. And what I like about them,
he can be a canary.
what I love about them is that they're kind of atypical for a video game love story. Like, they're not the dashing young protagonists. There are a couple of 30-somethings who are obsessed with their jobs. They're both knights, and so they're tied together with that duty sense. And Final Fantasy IX has a very Shakespearean style to it, and that part of their character just fits so well into it. Like, they're these side characters who add a lot of depth to the world through just the way they interact. Like, they don't play games, they don't do drama, they just interact, and it feels so natural and believable. And they add to the whole sense of the game as a love story, as this big Shakespearean drama. Also, Noboru Uematsu gave them a fantastic couples theme song.
All right, fair enough.
Final Fantasy IX is like my favorite game ever.
It's so good, right?
Oh, before we go to the next one, let's see here. We got in comments, Punk said, Steve, you are a noob. ODS actually said it as well. But you have a great smile.
Ladies.
Hello, ladies. And some men.
All right, and we have a couple other suggestions, but I'll tell you those after.
Okay.
Is it show penis? Because I mean.
No, show penis left.
Aww. Maybe it's really like a show about penises, just called Show Penis, versus like Show Your Penis. Maybe
That sounds like a way better talk show. Can we do that?
Right?
Yeah, he just says,
I have opinions.
Yeah, I have
all
opinions.
he says is show penis. He doesn't say show your penis or anything. Just show penis.
Okay. It's probably Google Translate. It's messing it up.
Actually, he's asked us to show pens. He just keeps typoing real bad.
Darn, I
The pen is. Damn it! I keep forgetting the space.
You know what? For that
Macro's
joke,
been learning some very suspicious things.
Janet, whenever you're ready, you can go next.
Oh, I can go next?
Yes, you can.
So, continuing with the fact that I have just been absorbed into Metal Gear, please save me. I almost spent $300 on a figure, and that was just one. That's not including the other, like, $600 ones. Please help.
Nice.
The best video game couple is Big Boss and Revolver Ocelot. Now, I can see it in your heads. Janet, don't you mean Solid Snake and Meryl? And no, I do not. I mean Big Boss and Revolver Ocelot. Now, sure, it's a little one-sided, but everything Ocelot did from the 1960s until his death was for Big Boss. To help him achieve his view of the boss's dream. This man let himself have an arm attached to him. Massive spoiler alerts. An arm attached to him.
It's been like 10 years or whatever. We're fine.
I haven't played it yet.
Massive spoiler alert. Underwent psychotherapy to think he was being possessed by this arm so that he could help Solid Snake bring what Big Boss wanted to do in regards to the boss's will.
Show penis.
If that is not pure, unadulterated love, I could get into some Metal Gear Solid 5 spoilers, but I mean, that game's been out for a month, and that's rude of me. But if that is not pure love and dedication for, what, in the game, like 50, 60 years, I don't know what is.
Definitely showing some passion there, Janet. Thank you. Love it. Okay, Wesley, please jump in.
All right, so I'm going to actually start off with a little bit of a rebuttal. So that is sort of a one-sided love, not a couple, but very passionate, Janet. I'm going to take it a little bit on a simpler level. So we got these very like fleshed out, involving love stories here. I think that, you know, given all the tropes in video games as far as couples like Mario and Peach and all that sort of stuff, taking that and flipping it on its head is Meat Boy and Bandage Girl. So the simple idea that these two characters exist because the other one needs them. So, you know, Meat Boy is the guy without skin, and Bandage Girl is literally the thing and the person who completes him and makes him able to take on the world. Now, given the state of the game and being a parody of, you know, Mario and that sort of stuff, you have to play as Meat Boy and try to rescue the damsel in distress. But if you've never made it past the very difficult beginning of the game and most of the entire game, by about World 7, there's actually a point where you get to play as Bandage Girl to save Meat Boy. So not only is there this dynamic of them being physically the perfect match for one another, but given the strife that they have with their arch nemesis, there's not this male-centric focus of Meat Boy has to save Bandage Girl. It's actually they have each other's back no matter what. And so it's kind of a nice addition into the game to be able to play as Bandage Girl, even though it's the same controls and it's just basically a skin swap. It feels like the world has more, and the relationship between them has more value because you get to see both sides of it, not just this damsel in distress from afar that we see in games too much.
Okay, fair enough. Wesley, you did drop a bomb on Janet. Do you have something for Zane? A little zinger for Zane?
I did not get that far in Final Fantasy IX to deny it, so I know it was one of those, somebody lent it to me and then took it back when I got past the first disc. The rudest thing somebody could have done.
But 9's the best.
It was very good from what I played of it, so I can't deny that.
I mean, I'm pretty
I
sure
believe
9
we
is
had,
actually still...
Didn't we have an episode where we said, no, 9 is not the best?
Well, because you guys are wrong. I mean,
Okay.
that's because you guys like 7 and 8 and you're wrong. But I mean, this is sidetracking, but I think 9 still holds the like title of the like best, I guess, reviewed Final Fantasy. I think it's still the highest on Metacritic of the Final Fantasies, but that's not saying much. I mean, I like.
Judge, do you want that one?
Popular. But
I'm actually still reading the entire history of Revolver Ocelot. So.
Oh, you're gonna be a while, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much time do you need? I'll just keep following.
I mean, I could sit you down and explain to you like we did with my boyfriend, but that took 4 of us and about 3.5 hours.
How much?
No, the
how
good
much
news is
whiskey?
I've played most of Metal Gear Solid, so I can just
All
skip,
right.
so we're good.
All right.
Nice. Well, Janet, you were actually you got a little black eye there from Wes. So why don't you go for, second for you know, hitting both of them?
Do I get to rebuttal first?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
All right. So first off, Big Boss knew what Revolver Ocelot was doing the whole time and didn't kill him. And also, there's a really touching scene where they kind of like light cigars together. And I mean, Big Boss gave him the gun. Big Boss could have killed Revolver Ocelot at any point in the span of 60 years. He did not, because he knew deep down Revolver Ocelot was nothing but loyal and loving. And where would he find that again outside of Ava? And I feel real bad for her. Got a lot of Metal Gear feelings. As far as like Beatrix and Steiner go, they're real cute, but it's also, I guess, because the love story focus is so heavy on Garnet and Zidane that Beatrix and Steiner almost seem like begrudging co-workers that are kind of maybe into each other by the end. It's not the fiery, passionate love that was the ending of Final Fantasy IX that makes me cry just when I hear the music. That was Garnet and Zidane. They're real cute though. And Steiner has nice eyelashes.
they're the secondary couple, not the main couple.
Well, I'd like to believe that Quina and Food is the secondary couple. I mean,
All right.
As far as Meat Boy and Bandage Girl go, like, I like how they're more, like, they're so codependent in a sense that it comes off not necessarily as romantic love, but like codependency. But it's also real cute. They're real cute together in that like kind of weird, grotesque sort of way.
Yeah,
It's like when you watch cannibal movies and two cannibals fall in love. It's kind of cute.
I mean, watch an Indie Game the movie, you can probably see. I mean, if you've seen that, a lot of it's probably like him and his wife, because like she just helps him through all the crap that is being an indie developer.
I have the collector's edition on Blu-ray in my living room. It's a good movie. Please watch that movie.
Also coming back, Final Fantasy IX is the highest rated one on Metacritic.
Nine's so good.
It edges out Final Fantasy VII by 2 points.
So
Also
yeah,
6.
There's also, yeah, you're right on Metacritic. On game rankings, it's second to Final Fantasy VI.
I figured it would be
6
between
good too.
Yeah. Also, a little correction on the ages of Steiner and Beatrix. Steiner is 33, so he's in his 30s, but Beatrix is 28, so she's not 30-something. Zane's like, damn you!
I knew I should have fact-checked that one.
Facts are hurting you, Zane. I'm sorry for the
cradle there. Come on.
Oh boy, Zane, it's your shot now to.
So at least there are actually a couple eventually, whereas, you know, Ocelot is crazy obsessed, and Snake, I believe, used, what was the romantic phrase, did not kill him? That's, what a big gesture.
Did not kill him.
If only we could all find such love. It's...
That's a big step for Big Boss.
But, you know, they're important to each other's lives. But are they a couple? Is it romance?
Couple old guys with
I don't feel my
mustaches
heart
like
soaring
guns.
as I hear it described. As for Super Meat Boy, I haven't played it, so I don't know how much depth they get. They sound a little heavy-handed. You know, they're a metaphor or a, you know, allegorical or whatever. But like Janet said, they sound a little codependent, like they physically need each other. I just don't know how much development it gets. It sounds like it gets some because you play from both sides of it, but it could just be one of those cases where platformers don't have that much dialogue. They don't have that much character development a lot of the time. So I don't know how far they take that.
Big Boss and Ocelot.
Oh, look at them. They're so cute. But are they romantically involved?
That's all I got for you.
That was like the most cartoony picture that you could possibly buy.
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
You're
They're just
upsetting
old
Janet.
guys with mustaches.
So is that fan art? Or...
It's fan art, yeah. Yeah, I typed in Big Boss and Ocelot, and that was the nicer one of the things I found.
Yeah, I imagine it's just a lot
I'm
of
sure
like,
that's a
awkward
rabbit hole.
fan art of gay porn.
I found a couple, yeah. I mean, if we're going that route, one of them, he's holding him with like the camera shooting. It looks semi-consensual.
Oh yeah, the
Inspired.
from 5.
Yeah. All right, fact checkers, you guys have anything to add to this before I make a final decision?
I did find a picture of them sharing a selfie.
Yeah.
Like
Very
a
famous
forced
one.
selfie, right?
Nope.
Kind of forced, yeah.
Yeah.
Little forced, but it's totally there.
Oh yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yep.
I chose not to kill you equals love.
Hey, I mean, that's a big step for Big Boss. It's
It
important.
is.
There are
Right.
tranquilizer runs of
That picture is practically me and my boyfriend when I try and take photos of us. He's awesome. He's like, "Ugh," and I'm like, ah! That's love. It's just
Different.
they're private about their love.
Yeah, opposite of PDA.
God forbid the Patriots find out.
Yeah.
How will they enact the boss's will then?
Okay. I think Zane, you pretty solidly took that. It's sort of weak at the beginning, but your rebuttals are much stronger than everybody else, and you had the best like straight shooting, like no bullshit. By the way, that's a Band-Aid and meat piles, and that's two people who clearly aren't in a relationship being forced. I was getting convinced slowly by Janet. I was like, yeah, she's got a point. I mean, war brings people together, and I'm like, no, wait,
Do
yes.
you think love can blossom on the battlefield?
It was instant. They didn't need war to bring them together. That was just circumstantial. Yeah, so Zane, you definitely took that one, my friend. Good job. Applause. The crowd goes wild. Okay, so what do we got right now? We got
2 more.
You got 2 for Janet, 2 for Zane.
Zane 2. Yep.
Oh my god.
I need to take both these. And
Yeah, I mean,
then-
just let Wes win these last two, and we'll get into like a free-for-all brawl.
Yeah. Come on, Wes. You can pull this one off, right, bro?
All right, we can do this.
I'm rooting for you, Wes.
Got this.
I want a sudden death showdown.
Those are fun, man. That's what I had when we played. All right. Damn. All right, you guys help me out with this. I am going to need fact checkers help me out. I did a little bit of research, but I actually do not have any experience with the NX from Nintendo.
No one does.
Neither does
No,
anyone.
not really.
There's like no info.
It's just
If
it's a thing.
Nintendo
That's
does
all
a
we know.
console, what do you want from it?
Cool. As long as we're all on the same page, then I'll go
Yep.
forward with that question next. Because you are behind, Wes, I'm going to give you the option. Do you want to go first or last? And you get to make that decision because it's however you feel most comfortable answering that question.
I think I'll go first.
First it is, sir. You are up. Go for
Stepping
it.
it up. All right, so since there's really not any information Nintendo console, the thing for me with any console release, and especially with Nintendo, like being a person who grew up with the N64 and the original Game Boy, and I was out there buying a GameCube the day it came out. I've loved Nintendo, and in the last couple of their releases, other than the 3DS, I've just not really been that interested in it because they have on trying to redefine gameplay through the peripherals that the games themselves don't seem like they're that interesting. And like specifically the Wii U had such a bad early lineup that my biggest hope for it is that regardless of what gimmick or whatever type of gameplay mechanic they use for getting people to play the game, I just want to get some of the more passionate game designers back with Nintendo and away from, they can still be with Sony and Microsoft, but, Nintendo needs some of the really intense, well put together games that they've had in the past. Recently, Splatoon has been doing very well, so taking something with like that level of originality and having that being a showrunner for a new console would be great. Things like Zombie U and just ports of other games that have already been out for months when the Wii U came out was just kind of pathetic and want to buy it. So, strong opening lineup. Bring it back to the old days of tight, well-designed games.
Steve, you're muted. There
Yeah,
you go.
sorry. And even Google was trying to let me know that. Let's see. Let's have Zane go next.
Actually,
Okay.
before you go, just a little bit of the chat because I forgot to go over that. Let's see here. We got Punk apparently has a chub for you, Steve.
Poets is crazy.
Also, instead of show penis, we have now show anus.
Oh,
Right.
Well, I mean, all right.
That's
I'm
a
trying
bit
to
We're gonna
more
get like double
universally
banned
accepted.
from YouTube.
Right.
Let's see here.
it's way less
Also-
sexist to ask for an anus because everybody's got one of those.
Exactly.
Also, Metal Gear was the true first bro love story before Brokeback Mountain. And then
Take that.
also, Steve, you apparently have the bro love with Josh. So.
Josh. Practical Josh is hilarious.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also for this question, Nintendo needs to show more penis.
I don't know if I want that.
That would be a change.
It would be a change.
Go full on Rust with it.
I know a couple websites that would really enjoy that.
Oh my God. Okay.
And
All right.
that's what we got. All right. Sorry, Janet, to interrupt. Or wait, Zane. Sorry. to
Zane,
interrupt
yeah.
you.
Huh.
All right.
Go ahead, Zane.
I think Nintendo needs to step it up, not with its games. It's always going to have good games. Nintendo, that's their key strength, is they have good franchises that they are willing to delay and polish until they're 9 times out of 10 good games. Not all of them set the world on fire, but they're good. There's a reason they're known as, like the second platform. Like people will get a, PlayStation or Xbox and then a Nintendo console because they want the Nintendo games. And so I think they're all right with that. And I'm not sure they're going to get the third-party support just because they're not trying to play that power race. What I think they need to do is improve everything else about using a Nintendo console. Like, the games are fun, but using the 3DS menus or the Wii U's menus, awful, horrible. I hate doing it. I hate switching between games. They try to push virtual sales, like for virtual console or just digital distribution on games. And so you have all these games on a system, and I hate switching between them because there is a delay, and the menus are kind of a hassle. I know the Wii had this ridiculous problem that if I wanted to play Star Fox, I had, like 64 on the virtual console, I had to get the Wiimote, turn it on, move to the little tile, and then switch over to the GameCube controller I was using. Just stupid stuff like that make it a hassle to play with them. Like, I feel like Splatoon is succeeding in spite of Nintendo totally bumbling the online play. Like, they think people want to vote with their Splatoon teams, not do matchmaking with their friends. Like, it's just awkward stuff like that. I know Nintendo is always going to, be Nintendo and march to their own drum. But I don't think it's a point of pride, or it shouldn't be, that they have no idea what the other consoles are doing. Like, if you ask them about Xbox Live, and they're like, "Oh, we don't use that. We don't. What's that like?" And you need to know that. Like, if you buy a digital game on a Nintendo system, at least on the 3DS, it is tied to the hardware. And so if your hardware gets stolen or damaged, your games are gone. And I know that I bought like one game on the Wii console because I wasn't sure if I was able to move it forward, if I switch consoles, what would happen with that. And that doesn't sound like such a bad thing necessarily, but every other system, from PC to the PlayStation to the Xbox, figured this out 10 years ago. You make them an account, they buy games through that account, and then they play it on whatever can play those games. It's just so many areas where Nintendo as a service is a huge hassle where it doesn't need to be.
Okay. Nicely done, Zane. Janet.
I agree with Zane in that they need to better their online functionality. Like, I'm just going to give a quick blurb about how miserable it is. Like, I bought a 3DS a couple years ago. I upgraded to the new 3DS back in early summer, because that's what you do. And because, like, on the 3DS, you don't have a friend name. You have a randomized 12-digit number that if you do not transfer to your new 3DS, you cannot get back your friends list, you cannot tie your Nintendo account to your new 3DS, none of that. It's a real pain. But as far as what Nintendo should do with the NX, I think they should keep focusing on creating quality first-person content. Nintendo is probably the only major player left that genuinely cares about local multiplayer. I mean, there's so many big name franchises that a lot of us grew up with in terms of local multiplayer that we can't do that anymore. And why? And Nintendo's like, hey, you want to have 8 people in a room play Super Smash Brothers? We got you. And I'm like, I didn't know I wanted that until now, but okay. You know, or Nintendo's like, hey, you still want to play Mario Party with your friend and then punch him in the face when he's a dickbag? We got you. And, I mean, I don't know if Nintendo can ever fix the bridges that they may have burned in regards to third-party game development. Like, I feel bad on one hand because it's a vicious cycle. It's like, well, there's no third-party games, so no one's going to buy the system. But since no one's buying the system, no one wants to make third-party games. It's just this terrible cycle that Nintendo's stuck in, and that's a shame because I don't hate the Wii U gamepad. It's awkward to hold, but the theoretical potential of it that is not being tapped, is frustrating. But they are still producing, like Nintendo is still producing quality, amazing first-party content. I mean, they're still coming out with, good Zelda games. They're still making Mario Party fun. They're
What
still
Zelda game?
Yeah, not for the NX. I mean, the Wind Waker re-release is real pretty. But, I mean, they're still making their franchises, even though their franchises are way older than other franchises, feel new and fun and refreshing. And Nintendo is still very focused on the idea of, well, our local multiplayer game should still have local multiplayer, and our game should still be accessible by everyone. We should do weird things, and, third-party developers be damned if they can bring me. I mean, they're bringing me a game of Yoshi as a knitted doll. If they can do that on the NX and make it that much more appealing, or Mario Maker, if they can bring things like that only Nintendo can convince us to buy because of franchise longevity, the NX will survive. I mean, the Wii U's surviving, despite everyone saying it's going to die. The 3DS is surviving, and that's because they can still provide incredibly strong first-person content. They just need to bring the rest of the package with it. And even if all it is a Nintendo machine, people will be like, well, I want that.
Well, and Monster Hunter's on the 3DS, so...
Yeah, I would kill to have that back on the PlayStation for multiple reasons. Or at the very least, us have Monster Hunter G in the West, but that's not going to happen. I don't want that.
Okay. Well, Wesley, once again, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of rebuttal if you feel the need to, and/or go on the attack with both Zane and Janet.
Yeah, so as far as what Zane said, I agree, sort of as a counter to what Janet eventually said, was that Nintendo is going to put out quality first-party material regardless. It's what they do. They're very passionate. They like to reinvent the wheel. They like to keep these characters that people know and love going. But looking at the Wii U's launch, and fact checkers, you can back me up on this, their opening titles for the console were just crap. I mean, I don't want to play Arkham City, excuse me, with special bonus bat armor when I've already beaten it on PC. Like, I want a new Zelda game. I would buy the Wii U next week for the Zelda game that they teased. And if that's on their new system, the day it comes out, I will be at a store. I'll be buying it. And, if that's something that comes out, months and months later, and, okay, fine, but, that opening sale is what helps direct the rest of the sales for the console. Now, as far as their user interface and the things that are clunky about it, although I agree with you, and online interaction between other consoles has just been leaps and bounds above what Nintendo has done. If the games are good, I don't care if I have to sit through an awkward loading menu of Mario jumping up and hitting blocks. I think it's actually kind of endearing sometimes.
Cool. Excellent. So Wesley, just so I am completely crystal clear, your bottom line is that Nintendo needs to have a really strong lineup for the NX, and then that also would include obviously franchise games, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And that was what they lacked in their last launch with the Wii U.
Gotcha. So Janet, I caught that you wanted to do franchise games as well, which is the same point, except his is expanded further. Do you want to adjust your point, or maybe I missed it?
I want to stay with the focusing on first-party content because third parties be damned. as far as Nintendo goes. I think outside of a handful of third-party companies, i.e. Capcom, they don't care. Third-party companies don't care. There's no point in pursuing that when they themselves can just learn the ins and outs of their own system and say, how can we take this system that we've created and use it to its full potential in-house and put everyone else to shame?
Gotcha. All right, Zane, do you wanna
Sure.
rebuttal and attack?
Well, Janet, I think I generally just agree with everything, and it's kind of a difference of semantics of what they are doing, what they should do. Like, I think everyone agrees that they're going to continue pumping out just amazing first-party games, and so that's kind of a given for me. And so I think looking for improvements, well, it's not an improvement if they continue to make awesome games. That's just what they do. If they stop doing that, they're hardly Nintendo anymore. If they improve the UI and improve online capabilities and just the quality of life features, I think that will make a difference in just people's satisfaction of working with the system.
Actually, one quick thing for Janet. Did you say first-person content or first-party content?
First party.
First party.
Okay, making sure.
I mean,
'cause that was on the comments.
person content I will also take. Mario in first person would be amazing, but I'd probably throw up.
Yeah, I think there was a verbal slip there, but we knew what you meant.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Just want to make sure.
I followed her with first party, so we're okay. I don't know when she said it otherwise, but I only caught first party. But anyways, yeah, please continue. Or Janet.
Could you refresh me on what was Wes's initial argument? I got that kind of mixed up with the
Strong launch lineup.
Yeah,
Right.
most strong launch.
So he's everything. He's talking about all the games basically, right, Wesley? Not just first
Yeah.
content.
And I think as a counter to Janet's, part of what I loved when I played the GameCube, I had bought a whole bunch of games for that console, was there were interesting third-party content that supplemented the Nintendo games that I knew and loved. So I think, although they're going to continue doing well with that, I know, bringing it back to Ed McMillan, the guy who made Super Meat Boy, he intended to release The Binding of Isaac on the Wii U, and that ended up falling through. So had that game been on there, I think that would have been one of those tipping points. You get a couple good games, and then, oh, here's this other great franchise that I love also on here, not just Nintendo. It feels like you have more opportunities, where if you're going to put the monetary investment into a console, you have to make sure that there are going to be more than like 2 games that you want to play on it.
So, like, how do you suggest they do that? Like, should they court third-party developers more, or should they have a system that is as good as, like, the PS4? Or,
well, I think
how does Nintendo push something better than, like Arkham Asylum and Mass Effect 3 as launch titles?
Well, the problem is that they were already out for almost a year each at that point, or even I'd have to check to see how long it was, but I remember them being rather dated games.
Yeah, they were pretty old, but what can Nintendo do with that? Like, just have stronger hardware?
I know that has been what some people want, but I think, being able to encourage developers, I know that they sort of live in their own little island as far as their content.
It's like Nintendo's first-party content is great, but for everything else as a company, they kind of live in that bubble, which is good when they're doing quality, but not good if they're lacking features that other people have, and they're lacking like an easy-to-use indie store, like to get things into it, like Super Meat Boy, or not Super Meat Boy, Binding of Isaac. The Nintendo weirdness is holding them back in some cases.
Yeah. Isolationism.
But I feel that that also helps them in a sense in terms of staying unique, because, like, let's face it, all of us in this chat all have pretty good to, if not wonderful, PCs.
Yes.
And we can all agree that any big AAA release, we're probably going to go to the PC4 to begin with. So even if, they're to release the next Assassin's Creed or Mass Effect or Skyrim or what have you on the Wii U, which could get really interesting, or the NX or whatever, is that going to stop you from just waiting for that on a Steam sale anyway when your real goal is to own Nintendo games?
Yeah, like I don't think Nintendo needs to port that third-party content that hard.
Like, the indie content, sure.
Yeah.
Indie content would be great, because I think there's some indie developers that could make brilliant Nintendo games.
Yeah, that's a
But
door
as
they can
far
open
as-
wider.
Yeah. But as far as big publishers, it's a very why bother when people like us, who are looking for a reason to buy a Nintendo console, don't care that, their version of Deus Ex might have really cool interactive features when we're just going to buy it on PC.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As far as I bought a 3DS for Monster Hunter because it's an exclusive game, other than the Wii U version of Try. So for me, that was one of those things that got me into it. So now that I have a 3DS, when the Super Smash Bros. Came out for it, then I was all over buying that, and I was already in with a game that I loved that didn't happen to be a Nintendo first party game.
I
Yeah,
think
the 3DS is a lot better than the Wii U on that.
I think that's also because Monster Hunter is just so ingrained in Japanese, I guess, game culture and the way that they play Monster Hunter that Nintendo just kind of more or less bought the rights in some fashion. I mean, when Universal Studios Japan is doing official content for Monster Hunter, there's a reason Monster Hunter DLC happens every month and is free. And that's because Japan's like, we like this, and we like it like this. So that's that's one of the few times that I will say that a third-party game is a Nintendo mover. But at the end of the day, we're mostly buying Nintendo systems for Nintendo games. Not because some third party is making a game that might be cool on said system. When we all know we're just going to wait for it to go on like a 75% off Steam sale.
Yeah, I mean, Monster Hunter is a phenomenon that you can't get generally on other systems. But so many other first-party games, like Mass Effect, you can just get on whatever. I don't think Nintendo needs to chase that. I don't think that's a fight they can win if they want to keep things reasonably priced and still go for the family market.
I'm going to ask the fact checkers just to make sure that there's nothing else that you want to add to this.
Jesse, you got anything?
Well, I've been looking up the launch titles for the Wii U, the 3DS, and the DS. And for all three of them, it looks like there's next to no decent first-party content in their launch.
There's only, for the Wii U, Nintendo Land and Super Mario Brothers U. It's the only Nintendo.
Yeah.
Was
So,
Zombie
I mean-
U made by them, or was that a...
I think that was
Yeah,
Activision.
that was Ubisoft.
Ubisoft.
Okay.
Also,
The main things that came out for the Wii U on launch day was Assassin's Creed 3, which had only actually come out 2
and it was
weeks
just
before.
out. Most of the games actually were not out
within a
for that
month.
long beforehand. Arkham City is one of the cases. Yes, it was out for a year beforehand.
Yeah. That's the only case of that. I mean, Black Ops was out for a month.
Yeah,
but-
something like that.
That's still so weird. Black Ops was on a Nintendo console.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it was them pushing.
Normally considered the better version on the consoles at the time. Also,
Skylanders wasn't started.
another one for because Janice said that the Wii U is doing fine. Just to let you know, as of right now, it still hasn't outsold the Dreamcast.
Oh.
That's
It's
tight.
close, but it's not quite there yet.
Well, I mean,
Also,
let's
the
face
reason-
it, the real thing supporting Nintendo right now is Amiibos. It's on a sea of Amiibo money.
That and the billions of dollars they have in the bank.
Oh, also another one is Nintendo put a patent out for a new touchscreen controller not long ago. So
Yes, they did.
Well, they also had a patent out for that heartbeat thing, and that thing was just weird.
Yeah, you can never be too sure with patents.
yeah, 12 days ago, the news came out with that. So
Can the fact checkers please tell me what the hell the NX is, please?
okay, the NX is
Thank you.
the code name for Nintendo's new system.
Do we know
That's-
anything about it aside from the touch controller that you just?
We don't even know if it has a touch controller.
It will
Those are
not
just
run
No,
pure
that's not even
speculations.
100% sure.
It will
They
not
said
run
they.
Android. It will not be ready in 2015.
Okay.
Yep, that's about it.
That's about it.
It will come hacked already with Homebrew. All right, fair enough. Let me go kind of down the list here. So Janet you got pummeled on facts at the very end.
It's okay. I understand. I respect and understand that.
Cool. But you did explain one really good fact, or make one really good point, which is that they do need to come strong with franchise games, because that's the only thing Nintendo's ever really had, and I completely agree with you on that point. Well, they have some other games, but I really think that truly that's where their gold mine is. And you guys all seem to agree with that unanimously. It's sort of funny. And then, but Wesley, you basically went a deeper way with it, whereas franchise games are one small sample of the larger size, which is like all of the games that they're going to have on there. If they make a game, whether it's third party or first party, and people really want to play it, which I believe, Zane, you even said that at one point, they're going to purchase the console, and I agree with that.
Second console.
Yep. So basically, I'm giving Wesley most of the points here, but to round it all out, Zane, I do agree that they're really wonky, and you did follow through with that thought process. You did explain that if it doesn't work and people don't get it, or if they get annoyed with it, they're not going to use it, and that's my main reason for not wanting to use the Wii U over time. Wii kind of taught me not to expect much from the Wii U, and for that reason I never wanted to spend the money on it. I liked how zany everything was at the beginning with the little, sorry, zany, how wacky it was to use that controller, because it's all cool. I can play from like the couch on my side bowling, and it's fun, or like tennis. But ultimately, I think Wesley had the best facts behind it, and the best point, which is this: they really need to have the good games. Have the good games. You can have wacky controls. People will still play it. But if they don't have good games, I even wanted to get Zombie U because of that. It's on Zombie U, right? If I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually wanted to get that game pretty badly. And Janet, you did mention that being the fact that you can go to PC eventually with most games, that you'll why buy it for that particular console. But I think ultimately still the reason why consoles get all the games first, because developers feel as though they have a bigger pool to work with, so they're going to make more money and possibly less theft of IP. But aside from that, really, they always dump all their money into the consoles first, and then they trickle out to PCs eventually. It's always something that sort of pissed me off, because I know the PC would be a little better. Right?
That's also because like console hardware is standardized, where PC hardware varies just from person to person. My build is completely different from my boyfriend's build, and to account for that's kind of miserable. But I mean, that's part of the reason they just go for consoles.
Developing for that is really tough.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I follow. But they still make it work, and it's a shitty console port, but they make it work somehow, right?
They make it work.
They
Sort of.
I mean, that's what
Sometimes.
mods are for. That's what mods are for.
Yeah, right? Yeah, Arkham.
Mods make it work.
Arkham Knight.
Plus the community.
Oh, 30 frames per second is fine.
Yeah, you don't need more than 24 anyways. What are you complaining about?
Your eyes can't see past like 75.
Yeah, what are you doing with your life? Okay, but ultimately, Wesley, you did get this one. So, I don't know.
Now take the next one so we can sudden get.
Yeah.
I might have the next one. It's my.
I don't know.
Better work your ass off, man. All right, so okay, help me out with his name. It's Uwe Boll.
Uwe.
Uwe
Boll.
So he's, from my understanding, he's like known to be a really terrible director.
He made
right?
the Blood Rain movie.
Oh, he did. Well, there
Mhm.
was nudity, so that made it
Yeah.
okay.
Oh no! Just to give you an idea, there is a nude scene in, I believe it's the third Blood Rain, that is just, I was watching it and all of a sudden it's like, huh, there's that, and then it just cuts to different people. I'm like, what was the point of that besides the nudity? It had nothing to do with the story at
That's
all.
based on that Mr. Skin
Oh,
site.
jeez.
So the question is, who is the Uwe Boll of developers? So who's the worst of all the developers? Let's see. I think I should still give you, Wesley, the shot at it because you're an uphill battle right now, sir. Unless you want to go last, it's your call.
I'll go first again. I think this is fun. So
Okay.
I'm going to say, so just to clarify for Uwe Boll, part of the reason why he's such a crappy director is he's sort of the real-life version of the producers. It's the notion that like you can take and make something so terrible that it will sell based on what it is. And he takes franchises that otherwise have some success, like Far Cry, and he'll make a movie out of them, put no thought into the original content or what the idea behind it is, and sell it on the name alone, and usually really terrible reception. So my thought of who the Uwe Boll of Developers is the general whipping boy that is EA. I think EA does the exact same thing. They take games like the original Call of Duty that were very well thought out games and packaged it and resold it enough times based on name recognition alone that the hope is the fan base will continue to buy them just because it is the predecessor to something that was great, even if the thought and the heart hasn't been put into it again. Same thing goes with a lot of the reboots that they've been doing lately. I don't know if any of you have played Dungeon Keeper. It was a great older game that you could build your own super evil minion lair in the ground, and they decided to put out a mobile port of that was just, pay every time you do something. And like that completely destroys the flow of gameplay. It makes it all into this cash cow, and they don't put any love into what they're doing anymore. Not to mention what they did with the SimCity that they made recently, which was just such a disaster on the end of monetization that it just was a complete failure. So EA is my UA Bowl of game developers.
Perfect, Wesley. Janet, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I am picking a singular developer instead of one company because, I mean, that's like saying all... I'll get into that later. But my singular developer is David Cage. Now, fact check from Joe.
Quantic Dream, basically.
I love David Cage.
Oh, I love the man.
I love how much he cares about his work. And Uwe Boll cares about his work. Uwe Boll is passionate. Uwe Boll has some okay ideas. And this is where him and David Cage are very similar. They both are very passionate about what they want to work on. They both are not afraid to experiment in regards to what they work on. They both have an army of yes men who cannot tell them no and let them do dumb shit that ruins what they work on. Like, David Cage is one of my favorite people. He's very friendly. I have his autograph, like, over there, but it's stuck to the wall. He exudes passion and love for what he wants to achieve in a video game. But no one tells him, no, that's dumb. Like, Heavy Rain, really good, exactly once. There's 24 possible endings to Heavy Rain, or 20-something. Not sure the exact number. Spread out across 4 characters. Now, you would think that with all the importance that your choices make in order to achieve these endings, the story would differ, but it does not. The major twist in this game is the same major twist every time, which is kind of a bummer, given how much he was touting how important choices were. Heavy Rain is good exactly once. Beyond Two Souls is literally like he just had a notebook of half-assed ideas that he kind of like thought up while he was like eating a sandwich or something, like, oh, what if I did a spooky game involving like Native American spirits? Okay, what if this girl had a twin brother that's like kind of sort of possessing her but not really? Yeah. What if we put them all in the same game? And along with that, she's a CIA spy and then is homeless. Yeah. Someone okayed that. Because someone didn't tell him no, because they knew he would make money.
And then he put Ellen Page on the cover.
And then he put Ellen Page on the cover. And Willem Dafoe was also in that game. I want to love everything David Cage makes. I play everything David Cage makes. I adore what David Cage makes from a artistic standpoint. But ultimately, his games are so just half-baked and unrealized because everyone, believes in his artistic vision to the point that they're blinded by just how bad it is. And Uwe Boll's the same way. I mean, a guy who plays enough video games to say, I want to make this video game I enjoyed into a movie, and you're like, well, you played that. Yeah, this will be great. He's just a bad director. He's a bad maker of things. And that's how I feel about David Cage. David Cage's and Uwe Boll's hearts are in the right places. Their minds cannot connect what they think they can do to what they are actually doing. And that's why David Cage is the Uwe Boll of game developers.
I think that's the saddest fate that one can have as a developer.
Alright, just to fact check on you guys. One, Wesley, you said Call of Duty for EA, that's Activision. Janet, the consensus, it's kind of hard depending on what people clarify as a separate ending, but it seems around the consensus is around 20 endings to Heavy Rain.
Yeah, 20 to 24 is what I found.
Yeah, that's what I've been finding too.
It's weird because the endings are basically like what you do to make a character live or die. So the way that they determine endings is kind of weird to how we would perceive endings, but there's technically a lot.
You mean like the arc is the same? Like narratively?
There's I think it says there's 6 or 7 arcs, and then each ending, depending on exactly on what you do, can change it a little bit.
All right, Zane.
Sonic Team. Oh, Sonic Team. They specialize in taking a property that people love and just screwing around with it, or not putting enough polish or enough money into it or something. Like, every once in a while they'll put out something decent, and that'll give me reason to hope. And then they'll just go a couple of years, just put out absolutely nothing decent. Like, it's just one flop after another. And they have a lot of good ideas. Like Sonic Heroes. Actually had a pretty neat gameplay mechanics to it. It had good soundtrack, had some good level ideas.
Always
and it just doesn't... Yeah. Visual aids! Yeah, but the game had some good ideas, but it didn't get enough polish, it didn't get enough bug testing. I don't know if they didn't have enough money for it. They really should have. Like, Sonic's always... He's not been a AAA franchise in a long time, I think. Because people have just given up on it. Like, people don't expect good things from Uwe Boll. Like, they just don't. They've learned what to expect from him. They're not disappointed. They're just, oh, well, yeah, that's about what we expect. They're surprised when something good comes out. Like, if Uwe Boll made a good movie, people would react to that the same way if, like, the same way Sonic Generations or Sonic Colors came out. I'd feel like, that's actually okay. I actually like this. There's something decent here. But I have never been burned so many times with any other series. Like, I get excited, and then, oh yeah, no, I had no reason to be excited than I have with Sonic.
Okay. Wes, I want you to go first again. You want to do that too? I don't want to put you in a bad position.
No, that's fine. So I want to say, at least as far as the Sonic Team goes, Sonic 4 was made by Sonic Team, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I have not played it, but I remember that game got really good critical acclaim because they went
Sonic
back to...
4?
Yeah.
Episode 1 or 2?
I believe Episode 1 was the point where I was still hearing about it, but I heard from people that it was, going back to the way the older games were and, was very enjoyable that way.
Yeah, they did make Sonic 4 in cooperation with Dimps.
Yeah,
they teamed up with a lot of people, especially Dimps. Yeah. Sonic 4 had some good ideas. Return the Form, Sonic 3, Sonic Knuckles, Sonic 4. But the physics are wonky. Like, the game just, it's so awkward. Like, it doesn't get the polish and the attention it needed.
I see.
Huh. Okay, here's something that I actually find odd, too, because they changed the physics. I'm sorry to help you, but they changed the physics for 2. But yet, And that's the main complaint everyone said about episode 1. But yet, all the scores are lower for episode 2.
They just can't get it right.
All right. Wesley, do you have anything else that you want to say about Janet's David Cage?
I'm sadly have not owned a PlayStation since PS2, so I've not personally played either of his 2 big games that I know of.
Prophecy, though.
Yeah, Indigo Prophecy came out for Xbox, PC, and PS2. I don't even have to look that up.
I'll have to look that up.
We love David Cage.
I sadly do not have enough to go off of to actually counter Janet's.
There is also Omicron, which is on PC and Dreamcast. You're welcome.
What is it?
Omicron.
Omicron, the Nomad Soul, featuring David Bowie.
Well, that's enough to try it right there.
Okay. Janet, you want to dive in next?
I feel with both Wes and Zane that to just say an entire company is equal to one person's.
Sonic Team.
Well, a team of people is kind of large because, like, the grunt workers of that team are only doing their jobs. You know, it's not necessarily their
to be fair, I mean, for a developer, you can pick with one person, or a team is also considered a developer as well. So.
That's still her argument, though, man. Let her follow.
Oh, just letting her know.
Okay, cool.
So that's like saying, that's like comparing, you know, who is the Marvel director team of game developers. It's like, well, there's like 9 directors theoretically, if not more. You know, I have to. That's like saying, like, EA hasn't really done anything great outside of, like, Disney Infinity, and that's just because I'm really into collecting toys. Like, from a business standpoint, EA is making all the right decisions. From a we need to make profit standpoint, EA, pretty great. From a do I want to buy your video game standpoint,
I'm going to fact check you guys again. You guys not know what EA makes because
EA makes Disney Infinity.
Wrong. That is Disney Interactive Studios and Avalanche Software makes it.
Doesn't EA publish it?
Nope.
Because I thought Infinity was EA's answer to Skylanders.
Nope.
EA's answer to everything.
Oh. My bad. Excuse that argument. EA is still really good at monetizing.
Yes.
Like,
and that's been sort of the problem, is that from a gamer perspective, it just feels like they don't want to put out a good game. They just want to put out a service that's kind of awkward and clunky. And I'd rather pay up front money for a good game than have to play a game that I have to put $5 in every time I want to do something.
We call that gambling, and that's my entire industry.
And that's why I'm not your customer, I guess.
But EA overall, I mean, you know, they're doing what they need to do to make profit. Uwe Boll just fails on a grand scale. It doesn't even necessarily make back his budget. EA, pretty good about making back its budget, even though we all hate them. I don't know who's buying this. Team Sonic, I mean, last Sonic that was good, it was like the last one on whatever Sega console, right?
Sonic Adventure 2,
still,
pretty good.
Generations.
But still, somehow profitable.
It was Sonic 2006.
Also, I like how Zane was like, I didn't like that.
But remember, at the end of the day, still profitable, still well known, still in the business. Uwe Boll, David Cage, both haven't done anything in years.
So I have a question, real quick before.
Yes, David Bowie was in that game.
Oh,
That's what we need to confirm.
David Bowie was in Omicron.
True facts.
Man, I didn't even have to look that up.
Fact checkers, can you double check something for me? I want to know if Uwe Boll ever made something that made money or was like good. Good is probably good enough. If it was like rated
If
well.
it broke even.
Critically, his
Profitability is one thing, but as secondary thing I want to find out is if it was actually rated well. That's going to answer one question I have going into this. Second, I think Zane, have you had a chance to?
Not yet.
Not yet. Please.
Okay. Well, I think Activision, or not Activision, EA, isn't so much the Uwe Boll of developers as like the Michael Bay of developers. They pump a lot of money into it. It's not necessarily great, but it will make huge amounts of money on return. They are a business. It's a little cynical, like, who's buying this? Well, somebody's buying it. Middle America. I feel like the big difference between them and Uwe Boll is just money. Like, they make so much money and they spend so much money, and they have their hands in everything. Like, they're too big for him, I think. As for David Cage, I'm not super familiar with his work. It sounds like he's a little bit more admired than Uwe Boll. Like, his name's not a punchline in the same way that Sonic's a punchline. Like, there's the Sonic cycle. Oh, Sonic fans are weird. And sad. But I feel like David Cage isn't really at that level of just accepted lameness. He's just not that bad of a name.
Depending on your circle of who you're talking to about games. I mean, David Cage is basically QuickTime Events, the movie.
Well, I guess he is a movie maker.
A QuickTime Event movie maker.
So I just think he seems a little bit more critically acclaimed. Like he's got really good ideas and occasionally gets something put together very well. Whereas Sonic, even with its successes, I'm not sure they reach the level of critical acclaim. Like, they might make people happy, but usually they just make people disappointed. And at best, they do okay. Like, Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors were both pretty good games, and it sounds like most of the other people on this call think, what was the last good Sonic game? Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure 2. Like, they don't get any kind of recognition. Or not enough.
Well, I remember Colors vividly. I think I was still living with Tara at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a big Sonic fan, so I knew them all! It was weird, because she never grew up with a Sega system, so she only knew them as a third-party franchise.
What?
I think my brain stopped working.
Also, okay, so...
Got something, Joe?
That's why I was so confused as to why she liked Sonic, but that's...
On Uwe Boll, his top-rated movie is Assault on Wall Street, which only has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, true.
His lowest rated is a 1% with Alone in the Dark. The only movie I could find that made profit was House of the Dead. The budget was $12 million, and it made $13.8 million.
So the big money.
Everything else was like $30 million or something, and it made like $2.
Pretty much.
That's rough.
So comparatively,
Also,
I don't really need you to look up much on EA for me. Comparatively, EA, I want to say that they are the developer that is the worst developer out there, but they're making money. So the fact that Janet offered one that completely flops, I haven't played the games that he's made, but I've heard bad reviews about them before. I think you got knocked a little bit for some facts in there, just once. Zane, you have some good arguments as well. I think EA is the Michael Bay of developers, and that's actually what swayed my decision from going with Leslie.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah, it was, because basically it's a solid, like,
Janet, not Leslie.
Yeah, so you went director to director, very specifically with that, so that was good. The Sonic games, though, like, I have to say, like, they're endearing, but the things I've heard bad about some of those other games, like, supersede that, and it seems like Cage just keeps making them, like Janet said, over and over and over again, and it's not like anybody's telling him no. They keep anticipating that if we give him enough money or enough time with a movie, he'll eventually make money.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I am going to fact check you really quick. Sales on Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain, actually, though they're not rated the highest, they actually do pretty well.
I think they break
Beyond-
even. I don't think they're
Beyond Two
super
Souls
profitable.
is one of the highest. Was one of the highest rated pre-order games in 2013.
Ellen Page.
Yeah. Let's see. The budget was 27 million, and it definitely made more money than that.
So
So.
comparatively, though, would you say in your
It made
estimation,
60 million compared to the 27 million it cost.
so comparatively, Joe, what would you consider EA as compared to David Cage, percentage-wise? How many of them are making money compared to David Cage's games?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Because I feel like with the numbers alone and EA's large facility of people, they're going to annihilate anything that he can do.
In 2011, they brought in 3.8 bill.
What
Just
was
by
that,
itself.
Jesse? Sorry.
In 2011, EA brought in 3.8 billion. So
So that destroyed Cage. So for me, Wesley, I'm sorry, you do not get
Janet.
the rose. No,
he said
Wesley.
Wesley.
Oh, Wesley.
Yeah.
He sounds like Leslie to me for some reason. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Janet, can I call you Leslie?
I mean,
My bad. I'm
you
sorry.
can. I don't
That's
know
cool.
if I'll answer.
So
No,
Wesley, I
everyone's gonna
apologize.
call her Leslie from now on.
We wanted you to be able to go forward, and I'm sorry you did not. And
Okay.
Zane, between you and Janet, I'm going with Janet taking this one. So the final score now, if I'm not mistaken, does that mean that Janet has officially won?
Janet has won.
Janet won.
And now you get to sit here and listen to me talk about how cool my Gormagala scale figure is. He was so cool. His box is so large. It cost $40 just to ship him.
Wow.
His box was a cubic foot.
All
Amazing.
right. Well, let's see here. Where did I put these files? And everyone on Twitch, because I'm just streaming to my screen, can see what I'm doing. But see here.
I didn't realize you're on Twitch too. Not bad.
Yep.
Nice.
But let's see here. So basically, for those who are on Twitch, and I will do a screen share here in a second on for YouTube. Go. Okay. So basically, this was for next week. We are starting the Video Game Battles Tournament Edition. So that'll feature Logan, Don, and Nick, or Cell Processing, as a lot of people know who are watching. And then I separated Raycar because we have two Steves, so Raycar and Rondo, which
Oh, I got you. And we both have R's too, so you
Yeah, I
can't even
know.
do like
I
first
couldn't
name.
even do. Yeah. So that means episode 9 winner is Janet. So that you'll be going up against Rick and Steve.
Cool.
That will be a few weeks from now, but next week, yeah, Nick, and we'll start that and hopefully crown our champion by the end of the month, unless something crazy happens. But yeah.
I might bounce around a little bit with my schedule. I just have to warn you now.
Oh,
Even
that's
though I'm
fine.
coming-
Yeah.
Even though I'll be physically back after KB Mods LAN,
Mhm.
I won't be necessarily available because I have to leave work early in order to be here on time. And tonight was fine, but every time I go to an event, all my work stacks, so I end up staying at work until like 7:30 at night every night.
Totally understandable.
All right. Well, I just want to first say thank you, everybody, for coming to the show and for having me on the show. Joe, thank you very much for that.
Oh, no problem. You were a good host, man.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
I was just a judge. You were hosting, man. And you guys were all awesome. I enjoyed it more actually as a contestant than a judge. Because a judge doesn't get to have any fun.
Yeah, it's rough.
Well, you can just commit when you're a contestant.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But my choices actually now affect others, and I don't.
Now there's
Your
responsibility.
responsibility.
That's right. That's right.
Also, yeah, with Janet, with you winning, you can be our fact checker for the first round of the tournament next week. And also, if you have time, you don't have to. But also, feel free to plug anything that you want. Since you are the winner, you can send us on out.
You can find me on Twitter as Anarchy Marie, as on Instagram as Anarchy Marie. I mostly talk about dumb anime, food, action figures, and occasionally my bills. I'm also at anarchymarie.com. I need to write more there. I mean, you can just find me at Anarchy Marie. Odds are, if you just throw that in the search engine, it'll bring me up. I mean, I can really, really, really talk to you about like the importance of Katamari on a grand scale of human destruction. So that's about all I got. Coming to Vegas, I'll take you to food.
Sweet.
Nice. All right. Again, everyone, well, you can follow me at LemonMerchant1 on Twitch. Also, if you like the video, subscribe. Also, feel free to like send me questions, whatever. If you want to see people arguing a certain thing, let us know. I'll take them from anywhere. Always can use more questions to be asked. And then Steve, you're at SteveOMG _OMG.
Yep.
Wesley, you're at. We actually have a couple, so you choose.
I don't even know what my Twitter handle is.
I think it's Westpac Art is the one I was sending it out to.
Yeah. So
Zane.
WESPAQART.
Yeah, there you go. And then Zane, I know you don't have.
Get off my lawn!
He's an old man, doesn't have.
Man, yep.
It's easier this way, Zane. It's better that way. Better that way.
But if I remember correctly, your portfolio is sorcerybox.com.
Yep, that's the one.
And then Jesse, you are jessec.com.
Yeah, jessec.com.
And
I'm also Jesse Cabrera on Tumblr.
right. Yeah, you're a Tumblr person. So, all right, everyone. Yeah. Again, thank you for watching. Oh, watch Master of Minutes on Sunday on Steve's, which is Is it Burial Steve or Steve Burial?
Yeah, that's Burial Grounds. Yeah, Twitch.
Burial Grounds. That's it.
Burial Grounds.
So,
And I'll also be at KB Mods Land, which is the 16th through the 18th, I believe it is, and that'll be on twitch.tv/KBMod, KBMOD.
Yep. And again, thank you all for coming, and all of you watching, thank you, and have a good night.